to everyone to this session. So this is upgrade planning kind of best practices. We're going to come at this from maybe a slightly different angle to what we've seen yesterday, which Eric was involved in both of those sessions as well. But I guess just before we jump into this, we might just have one kind of recap on that, Eric. We did have a live demo yesterday where we took everyone through the offline installer. No problems. Live demo, no problems. You did it, man.
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But as live demos go, that's it's all about the presentation. So. Yeah,
well, you knocked it out of the park really well. I watched that one, and then the other one I think you went through was upgrades made easy, and I think that was really a recap on the different options and the improvements I think that we made on for customers upgrading, I guess essentially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, upgrades. As I always say, we make them out to be way harder than they are, and as Crystal and you have explained it really well, and hopefully it's made our customers feel that more comfortable to upgrade.
No, that's true. Look, I think what we're going to go through today then is a slightly different angle on it. And it's kind of best practices when our customers are thinking about upgrading or planning their upgrade. So we'll get right into it. And I think this statement right up front is a really kind of good thing to set the scene for this particular session and for customers when they're thinking of upgrading. And the statement, I'll just read it verbatim. So customers running the latest version will benefit from the best performing, most stable, and most secure product. Running the latest version will ensure a faster mean time to resolution and can drastically mitigate downtime. There's a lot in that, but every bit of that I think makes absolute sense when a customer is trying to consider, should I upgrade? Why should I upgrade? I guess if you think about that, they will get the best performing version of our software. They'll be the most stable version of our software, so their uptime will be improved from that point of view. And then it's a very hot topic at the moment in terms of security and the most secure version of our product. A good thing about that is when we're developing our products, we're always trying to make sure that they were fixing any bugs, patching anything that may be reported, and making sure that every new release is the most secure one. So, that's always good practice as well. Everyone wants the most secure version. So it's important that we're on that. And then who doesn't like to mitigate against downtime and ensure that, they're getting things resolved quickly. So that's
minimum downtime is the key. That's it. The end goal.
Yeah, who wants to get in trouble for downtime? Nobody does. So I guess the big benefit of that will be, make sure you're on the latest version, and we can try and mitigate against some of that stuff. Before I go further, I should actually recap and let people be aware that there is a resources tab on the chat box as well. So you'll see that on the top of your chat box. It says resources across the top. Great place to click in. You're going to pull out loads of really, really useful links that we're going to be talking through this session as well. So I just wanted to highlight that there. Okay, so this slide, why upgrade? And when we start thinking about kind of upgrades, it's a great one to, I guess, set the scene and highlight to people, some of the things that you might want to consider. Well, I love the first one here. It's all kind of around scalability. And like Eric, you're a long-time SolarWinds employee, I guess, like myself. And when we think of scalability, if we look back over the last couple of releases, we've really improved our scalability story. We've really built on, I think, 2019.4, which allowed customers to do 400,000 elements per instance. And now look where we're up to. We're up to 1 million elements per instance with NPM.
That's right.
That's really, really strong. Anything to add to that, Eric?
Well, the fact that everybody thinks about scalability as being faster, stronger, and more capable, what we forget to see a lot of times in scalability is the capacity, and having the capacity to add new technology, because as you've been around the industry as probably longer or as long as I have, there's a new technology popping up every day. And we're exploding our platform just to handle that capacity. Because as you know, the more things you add, the more overhead you have on your servers, and each piece of software, we're getting more efficient. And the efficiency in our software, in our code, is just only gotten better throughout the years since I've been here.
Yeah, no, I think as well, another thing to add to that is, customers, they keep adding on more elements onto their monitoring journey. They might have started out maybe small, and then over time it is just kind of organically expanded. So I mean, like, the good thing is, there were SolarWinds are keeping pace with that, and we've really, really straightened down and doubled down on our scalability story. But not just on NPM, you'll see the massive improvements we've made there on SAM as well, where we've increased that limit up to or over, sorry, 500,000 components per SAM installation. So really kind of strong growth on our scalability side. And as I said, building on our 2019.4 release. If I jump down to the bottom of that slide where we can see performance highlighted in yellow, we've got some really, really strong performance stats that are on display there. So you can see the one circled that it says, it's now 96% faster to get to the login page. And that took a lot of effort to get that into the last release. We did look in the last release out to customer feedback. And some of the customer feedback they kind of said to us is sometimes it can be a little bit kind of slow to get to the login page. Well, we've done massive improvements on that. So we can see now that customers are benefiting from improved performance. We can see that they're getting faster to the summary view optimization, and then active alerts as well. I can see the statistic there around 67% faster. So those kind of results, they should kind of excite anyone. I think it's, everyone loves, again, a better performing environment. So that's a good reason.
Yeah, it increases your supportability as well. When I always think of things in the support side of stuff, and we can only help you as fast as your environment is. So, getting to those pages quicker, we've really helped ourselves in this scenario. So, that's very good points, John. Thanks.
Yeah. And then look, we also made improvements on our mapping, so we can see from a features point of view, our Orion maps had a big leap forward in terms of the UX and the experience for customers. The one I love here is the time travel feature. That's got great feedback from anyone who started to use that. It is, as you would expect, right? You can go back to a point in time, use your mapping kind of tools and do some correlation there to try and see if you can replicate some issues. So really, really, really good feature. And we've even had some dedicated sessions within TWACamp this year just on that. So I'd encourage you to kind of maybe look back at those ones as well. And then dashboards. Again, we've improved the UI experience. We've improved the performance of loading those as well, just to make them more intuitive for when people are using those. So really kind of good that way. Okay. So next one. So this one, Eric, I think is going to take up most of our time in today's session. And really, when we look at this one, the first bullet point here is talking to our product upgrade advisor. Now, why I personally like the product upgrade advisor is it kind of sets the scene on whether you're able or you're a candidate to upgrade. It kind of lets you know that if you put in a few different variables, so things like your current version, your operating system, your database, where you want to upgrade to. Once you put in those variables, it then highlights your best path to performing your upgrade. So, the product upgrade advisor has been around for a while, but to give you a bit of peace of mind and to kickstart your planning, or you're planning your upgrade, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, the product upgrade advisor, you can kind of see it as a living, breathing tool that will give you kind of a starting point of, especially when you're planning out your upgrade. We always talk about planning your upgrade and the best practices, and before you even start out with the install. The product upgrade advisor is a living, breathing tool that you can plug in all your elements, all your modules, all your OS information, and then it'll line you out to where you need to go, hopefully. And like I say, it's a living, breathing tool. So if you have any suggestions, problems, anything, we're here to listen to you and make it better. So.
Yeah, I like that. Ed has just dropped that into the chat box as well. So feel free to click on that hyperlink and to start utilizing the product upgrade advisor. Great tool. And yeah, Eric, you touched on it there, right? We are always talking about planning for your upgrade, and I guess to give people the best chance of success with their upgrade, what we've developed here also is like a resource toolkit. And that resource toolkit is, if you want to think of it almost like a checklist or a checkbox of different activities that people should be thinking about when they're planning for their upgrade. So, really, what we're kind of saying with that resource toolkit is if you follow the steps that are highlighted within that resource toolkit, you're giving yourself the best chance for success and to carry out a successful upgrade there. It kind of it asks you, think about your servers, how you prepare for your servers, what sort of things that you need to do to get access to them. And really what we're trying to enable our customers for is kind of say, okay, run the product upgrade advisor, figure out are you a candidate for this upgrade, run the resource toolkit and start working your way down through these kind of processes then just to make sure that you're thinking of everything. You're not halfway through the upgrade and you're thinking, oh, I need to address something there.
Right. Yeah. The big thing you got to take away from that is, do I need to migrate? That's always on someone's agenda. Do I need to go to a newer version of SQL? Do I need to put on a new OS? And you don't know where you go until you know where you've been. So make sure that you have that kind of planned out, where you have your environments RDP into these machines beforehand. And then there you go. You plug that stuff into the upgrade advisor, and hopefully, we'll at least give you the right information, what SQL version you need to go to, plan that accordingly, and there you go.
Yeah, I think the next point kind of plays a bit into that too when we start thinking about like the Orion installer and the pre-flight checks. The Orion installer really benefits customers who are running NPM version. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but 12 and above, Eric, isn't it? Is really when they start to see the kind of benefit about that from the Orion installer.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was listening. Yeah, sorry about that. I was listening to earlier in some of the other Thwack Camp sessions, and they were talking a lot about the when do I need to go and migrate, and how I actually get the benefits of things like column store indexing, stuff that we products like NTA and Log Analyzer, and they made really good points and said, we have this new technology. Please take advantage of it with the new versions of SQL. Obviously, those are required. And so when you have NPM alone, obviously, you're just upgrading, and we still have support for 2012. That's fine and good. But if you need our Log Analyzer database software, and you need our NTA, NetFlow Traffic Analyzer product, those are going to require a new version of SQL to take advantage of that column store indexing and things like that. So just keep that stuff in mind, and hopefully you'll have a good transition there.
A couple of questions I think that have dropped into the chat box. I think one question here, and this is a classic. So when is it better to start fresh rather than upgrade? And I think we both know the answer to this one, Eric, but I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of near and dear to my heart to talk about, because I love when people are thinking like, man, should I just refresh my whole entire SQL server or SQL database, I should say, and just my whole inventory gone, everything else, and just start from scratch. And I get that need and I get that want. Hopefully we've made it a little easier in these newer versions for you to not do that. Obviously, we would steer you towards support and try to get those things ironed out. If you do think it's a little wonky or something like it glitchy, to actually get to that newer version, and so you won't have all the performance issues and things with those glitchy elements inside your database. Now, with that said, yes, sometimes it is better to refresh, but I always try to steer people towards our fact that we have evaluations for 30 days. You can spin up a whole new server. You can spin up a whole new database, start from scratch on a new server, and slowly migrate that information to that new database. Obviously, there's no migration tool to just take all your data and kind of flush it out and then put it into the new database. But hopefully with the evaluation, and by any time, usually you can coax some new temporary keys if you need temporary keys to say, hey, I'm just trying this new server, new environment up, new instance of Orion, and planning out to actually migrate to this being as my new production. With that said, there's no easy way of saying, yeah, you just need to start from scratch. Now, obviously, there's caveats there. If you're like way below, like if you're still on a 10 dot version, which I've seen some customers have a 10 dot version, nothing wrong with that. It's just, it may be a less painful situation for you to spin up a new environment and have that fallback if you need to go back to your old production, but still have the new stuff slowly being added into that new environment. And hopefully that kind of answers those questions. Sorry, I rambled on a bit, but it worked.
No problem at all. I think it is a question though that people need to consider right up front. Like when is it better to just do like a parallel build, do your clean install, and when is that the appropriate scenario, and then when, or is it just easier for me to do my staged, my step kind of upgrades? So no, I think I think that is a valid question that people need to consider when they're planning upgrades.
They also had a comment in the chat that make a very good point. Only when there is no value in the historical data that you have, if you're going, like, you don't need that old historical data, or like you're simply an organization that runs 30 days in the past. And obviously we have big MSP customers that need historical data, or sorry, ISP customers. I meant ISP. I have MSP on the brain. ISP customers that need this long historical network data, and that's not really an option for them. And so that's why I always say, let's spin up a new environment and just keep and continuously collect information. And you may even be interested to buy a parallel license and have two parallel systems going. Yeah, that's more overhead, but if you're trying to save that historical data by creating new historical data on the other side, that might be a better way for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, another question came in here, Eric, is an interesting one, right? How about, I guess when you're considering your upgrade, how about in-place upgrades for HA environments? Any advice there for Stephen on that one?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of lined it out. We have a few THWAC pages that say minimal downtime and using HA as a process from going to an old server to a new server. That works really well. And that is an option for everyone, because usually you're going to have an eval version of HA if you haven't used it yet, or you're using HA and you do have a license for it, and you can migrate over. That's a very good option. Hopefully that answers that question. Sorry to cut off abruptly there, but.
Yeah, okay. No, that's good. That's good. And I guess the next point on the slide here then, right, is we're trying to highlight in today's session best practice, when you're beginning an upgrade. And when we were preparing for this presentation, and we were back and forth on this, Eric, I like the way you laid out the steps in a sample upgrade plan here, because there are really kind of three kind of core steps, but within each of those steps, there are important points that we want to kind of get across. So do you want to take us through those steps there?
Obviously, we talked about it earlier. Map out your environment. Make sure that, using the upgrade advisor, knowing what OS, if you need to go to a new OS, or if you're staying or doing an in-place upgrade, those are all options. You just need to map out where they are. Make a database backup. Everybody, I mean, I can't tell you how many customers that run into that issue. They're like, we upgrade, something happened, there was something environmental, now I need to roll back. And I'm like, well, I can't help you because you didn't take an upgrade, or you didn't have you didn't have a backup in place. And a lot of our customers don't, usually they don't work without a net like that. A lot of people do backup, but we ask you through the installation every time, do you have a backup? You have to put in yes. And we do that for a reason, is because sometimes you have to back out of the upgrade and just stay for whatever reason it may be. Because there some things the software can't even, mitigate. So, just making sure you have a backup in place, letting that go. I briefly talked about the next step yesterday in the offline installer. Obviously, pre-staging those files everywhere where you need to isn't an option in an offline, but in an online installer section, when you go through the deployment health, you got the pre-stage everywhere. You can click that pre-stage through your Orion deployment health page. Pre-stage those files. It'll go and download those files where you need to. Obviously, it won't do that if it's a brand new server that Orion doesn't know about yet. So I get that question quite a bit. I'm migrating to a new server. We don't have that capability yet, but we're looking into having something with a migration tool and things like that, and actually pre-staging all that those things to a new server. Where HA comes in handy, you can go and throw the install on, the same version that you currently have installed, and then you can, minimal downtime, go to that new server in place.
That's great.
Any tips on cleaning up the installers folder? Mine is huge, and collectively across my environment, taking up 100 gigabytes of storage. Yeah, I mean, that one's a bit tricky because sometimes we need those files. I always suggest kind of hitting up support, seeing which files can be deprecated, which files can be there in the new install folder, because it gets a bit complicated with all the modules that we have installed. And things like log files take up a lot. So there are Success Center articles out there on how to clear out your log files. That helps quite a bit. And always, 100 gigabytes of space for our installs is it does get taken up quick. So I completely sympathize with that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So if we just jump on to the kind of next slide, because we don't want to run out of too much time, but a couple of upgrade items to consider, what we've kind of mapped out here for people on the session today. So we touched on it during the product upgrade advisor, but some customers, they don't necessarily want to go to the absolute latest version. So the question here is like, what version are you upgrading from and to? And in some instances, we may have a customer that would go to actually 2019.4 because it's a company policy. And that company policy might be, I'll always be one version behind. And that's good, or that's okay too from our side. But we just, want you to consider that. Have you upgraded before? We just spoke about things like, pre-flight checks and how they can increase your chance of success. But we do also have things like, centralized upgrades, which will also kind of will help customers that are upgrading as well. And then documentation, it's important. So we've developed a new upgrade resource center. So if you navigate to the links on the in the chat box there, and even onto the resources within the chat box, you'll see the new upgrade resource center, which is packed full of really useful tips to help you when you're beginning your upgrade journey. So that's a great resource to try and go to as well. And then the center bit here at this slide, reasons to upgrade and why do it now? Well, it's never been a better time. We've never had as many different options for customers when they're considering an upgrade. So things like, Eric, you just took us through staged and pre-staging upgrades. The upgrade plan reports, actually, I don't think we've spoken about that one yet, but that's another really useful element, I guess, for upgrades. Do you want to touch on that, Eric? Just for 1 sec.
Yeah, the plan reports, it's a little section in the Orion deployment page You can see where you need to go. It's kind of like a software version of our product upgrade advisor page. I'm super excited about it. It gets customers excited about planning their upgrade. At least gets everyone talking, and that's that's a big deal in
Yeah.
upgrade world. Just getting everybody to talk about upgrades, because a lot of times it's, with change window control processes, it's something that's a headache to everyone. So hopefully we're making it a little bit easier with those planned reports section, and hopefully they can execute well with it. So.
No, that's really useful. And then look, for customers who are using the Orion SDK, like, we've added in the automating upgrades via that as well. And then on the right hand side here, so additional platform support. So I think, to be fair, Kevin Toomey covered that off quite well in the last or couple of sessions previously. But just to reiterate, if you are running SQL 2012 and Windows 2012, there are upgrade paths for you there as well. So that's good to note there as well. In terms of the helpful links pages here, we spoke about the Upgrade Resource Center. There is also a new page on TWAC, which is dedicated to upgrades. So that's kind of like a great page which aggregates a lot of end user feedback. So you'll see a lot of customers have written about their experience, how they've gone about their upgrade. One customer's even done it in less than 1 hour. So you can see how much faster it's kind of gone from that time.
Yeah, we're super about that one too. So.
And the recap here then around the support services. So we just heard in Vanessa's session about our Smart Start offering, and in Sandra's session about our Premier Support and Premier Enterprise offering. They can all help when customers are planning their upgrades as well. And then where do we get it? Where do they get the bits from? Go to the customer portal. It's a fantastic resource. And
I showed everybody yesterday, but yeah, customer portal. Get your downloads. Get it ready. Obviously, if you have an online installer, it's going to be different. You can just get it from your Orion deployment page, and then boom, you're off to the races. So, and please come to support. We love you. We will invite you with open arms 24/7. So,
absolutely, log a ticket. I guess we're running kind of tight on time, but one of the kind of recaps that I'd like to kind of go through here is keeping your NPM software up to date is important. I touched on the security benefits and the performance benefits and the stability benefits earlier in the session today. So it is really important to make sure we're keeping time on that as well. And then, we're here to help. Eric just talked about the accessibility to support. It's, if you're paying your annual maintenance, it's one of the biggest features of our program that you get access to, award-winning world-class support. And in addition to that, we've got academy classes, which Cal mentioned, on the 18th of November and on the 16th of December. We've also got an upgrade series on the 8th of December as well, where you get to bring loads of your questions to people, to the SolarWinds experts, and hear from people who've gone through these upgrades in the past. So I encourage people to log on to that one as well. Eric, we just have a quick look at the chat window in terms of questions? Because I think we're
good. I think we're good. We're out of time, so hopefully we've covered everything that you need to. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, thanks very much, Eric, for helping me out with this one again today. It's been a pleasure. Always love doing these presentations with you. I'm back over to you, Cal. Thanks everyone for attending.